Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live across the world on the internet at MichaelDukesShow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or translator. It is the day before the day of elections. That's right. Less than 20, what are we at here? 25 hours right now. 24 hours and 53 minutes. Polls open tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Now, that doesn't stop you from going down and voting early. You could do that right now. You don't have to wait for tomorrow. You don't have to, no, you could just go do it right now, get it over with. Beat the lines, skip the wait, do all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and it'll be so good. I have no idea what we're going to talk about after the election, but it will be so good to be done with the election madness. That's some crazy stuff right there, my friends. Welcome to it. The Monday edition of the Michael Dukes Show. The pre-election, the final day here. Tomorrow on the program, we're going to be joined by Brad Keithley and Chris Story, and I'm sure we'll have some analysis as to, maybe we'll squeeze some predictions out of them as to what's going on and doing stuff like that. Do you honestly trust early voting? Asked Bill in the chat room. Yeah, you're going into the same, to me, what does it matter? If you walk into the same building and you're walking into the same room to use the same people, the same setup and same everything else, if they're going to screw you, they're going to screw you, right? So it doesn't really matter. I have no qualms about that specifically. But, I'll probably I have not voted yet, and I will probably go down tomorrow, and I will vote tomorrow just because I'm stubborn like that. I'm stubborn. I just want to do it the way that I want to do it. There was still a line, but he already voted on Saturday on Bogart Road, said Michael in the chat room. So people, they're already out there doing it. They're getting ready to go crazy. And I don't know if the weather's going to have a say. It's cold. It's a little cold here this morning. As we get ready to do it, it went from having like maybe an Indian summer to, hello, that's 0 degrees. Have a nice day. It's going to be crazy. But yeah, so tomorrow, election day, lots of stuff is going to be decided. There's a whole article over at the Anchorage Daily News, and it's from the Los Angeles Times. Melanie Mason, Seema Mehta are the authors of this piece. And as you read this whole thing, you realize that in the end, the bottom line is this: they sum it up nicely at the very end. With a quote from one of the governance study fellows at the Brookings Institute, that said that conclusions about early voting data are even more difficult to parse because voting patterns have changed dramatically in recent years. They've changed so dramatically. High Democratic turnout in the early vote, however, may be offset by sluggish showing on Tuesday. He added that how we calculate elections has just become much more difficult. They just can't predict it anymore. And then on top of that, here in Alaska, of course, we've got the ranked choice. We got the ranked choice monster, and it's making a hot mess of things. So It's a very interesting breakdown about what's going on in the various areas. I'll post a link up to it on the Facebook page if you want to go out and take a peek at this article. But so it's interesting. It's interesting stuff. Read that up. The other thing, of course, is that President Joe Biden has been out on the campaign trail, and his handlers. I cannot imagine being a handler for Joe Biden. Talk about a stressful job. I mean, the guy just talks off the cuff, and then they got to walk it all back because they're like, no, that's not what he meant. He said in a speech in California that he's got to close down all the coal plants, that he's put an end to the drilling for oil on American land. He said no one is building new coal plants because they can't rely on it, even if they have all the coal guaranteed for the rest of their existence on the planet. So it's going to become wind generation. We're going to shut these plants down all across America and have wind and solar. The White House press secretary tried to walk the remarks back, saying the president's remark yesterday have been twisted to suggest a meaning that was not intended. He regrets if anyone hearing those remarks took offense, because the coal lobby is a huge Democratic base. And he's like, nope, no more coal. And the coal lobby went, excuse me? Then he was in New York, stumping for Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul, just the nicest woman on the planet. And he made an impromptu comment to a climate protester at Sarah Lawrence College, where the president said he was ending drilling for oil. No more drilling, he said. When the protester persisted, he shot back, there's no more drilling. I haven't formed any new drilling. And when they railed about offshore drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, he doubled down on shutting off the oil fields. That was before I was president. We're trying to work on that to get that done. No more drilling, no more coal, no more cheap, affordable energy for anyone. That's the bottom line. Just a reminder, when Biden became president, the average price for gas was $2.37 a gallon. It has gone over $5 a gallon and now hovers about $3.80 a gallon in the lower 48. Here, it's over $5. When every time I bought gas in the last 3-4 weeks, it's over $5 a gallon. Now, Biden has blamed the rise in oil and gas on company greed and the war profiteering from the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Last week, he threatened to tax oil companies with a windfall profit tax if they don't lower their prices. Of course, the oil is just a commodity which is set by the free market. And I mean, yeah, if that's how you want to do it. The Biden administration has leased fewer acres for oil and gas drilling than at any time since World War II. He's also drained the National Petroleum Reserve, bringing it from 638 million barrels to 400 million barrels, a 37% decline, and the lowest level in the petroleum reserve since 1984. Inventories of diesel are now below the accepted emergency levels, and the United States had just a 25-day supply of diesel 3 weeks ago. That's according to the Energy Information Agency, is being reported by Business Insider. That's the lowest level of diesel supply since 2008, and it's expected to be in short supply until at least summer, which will continue to put pressure on family budgets, as food and other goods will be reflected in higher shipping surcharges, because everything that doesn't move by train moves by tractor trailer, which runs on diesel. So, I mean, they very well could be talking about diesel in the $6, $7, $8 range per gallon. And those prices will be reflected in your everything. Pretty much anything that's moved beyond is pretty much included in that. So, good to know. That's what we're looking at right now. I will be so glad when this is over. Trains are, thank you, Bill. That was something that I had overlooked, and you're right, 100%. Trains are also diesel, just in case you were wondering. So, I mean, there you go. There you go. No diesel at any of the fuel stations. Terry says she has friends in Oregon and they're having a hard time getting diesel at the fuel stations. I just don't know, people. I just don't know. And I'll be honest with you, I am just done. I am just so done with this with the politics at this point. It has gotten to be so dog eat dog, so vitriolic. I got a text yesterday, and it was a tweet about something. What was it a tweet about? I can't even remember now. But here we go. It was a tweet about Elon Musk, right? Who's really, I mean, he's taken over. He's really done some stuff on Twitter already, and somebody posted, I don't even know if it's a real tweet or not, talking about people who are using the they them pronouns having to pay $16 for verification and the blue check instead of $8. And but I read it, I chuckled a little bit, and then I started reading the comments down below, and I was done. I read like 3 comments and I said, I don't need this in my life. I don't need, why am I engaging in this in my life? I would rather spend time making dinner with my wife, hanging out with my kids, doing all that, than being on the social medias and do all that. I mean, I got into the second or third comment and my brain just went, nope, sorry. Sorry. That's where I am today. That's where I just decided I am there. I'm ready for this. Have you seen the swarm of death threats against Musk? Yeah. I mean, this is the welcome to politics in 2022. Welcome to all politics since 2020, really, quite honestly. It's just gotten worse and worse. I mean, there is no middle ground. If you don't agree with me, then I wish death on you and your family and everything else. If you are against any one thing that I'm against, doesn't matter. We can agree on a bunch of other things, but if the one thing that we agree on that we don't, then you are evil and you need to be ripped out of the earth and have it scorched behind you so that your progeny will not. Why? I mean, this is just, it's proof positive, quite honestly, that I could never, ever, I'm involved in politics tangentially now, right? But I could never, ever, ever be involved in the like regular old politics. I mean, because this is it. Chris in the chat room says, Tim Pool calls this civil war. Do you think we're in a civil? I think this is like a quiet civil war. This is not a civil war in the aspect of taking up arms and doing it, but we are in a cultural war with ourselves. And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible that we can no longer have a conversation that has any kind of disagreement in it at all. It's just insane. All right. Well, I guess we ran it right up to the break. So we're going to go do our thing. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I forgot to tell you, Sarah Vance today, our guest in hour 1. Mike Shower, our guest in hour 2 today. That's what's going on. We're going to dive into that here in just a moment. We'll return. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. I ache from one side of the top of my head to the soles of my feet. I ache right now. Oh. Oof. Okay. Leela says, early voting is very different from precinct voting. When my husband did it in 2020, the state of Alaska employee didn't ask for ID, and the ballot was not run through a tabulator. A worker emptied the unlocked ballot box and took the unsecured ballots into the back, where I checked with a friend who works in that office. The bin sat unattended. State workers are union members who have a vested interest in Democrats winning. When you vote traditionally, you could scan your own ballot into the tabulator. That's disappointing. Disappointing, Leela. There you go. Politics, this is the quote of the year. Politics has become the new religion. That's why elections look like holy war. That sounds like a t-shirt to me. That sounds like a t-shirt to me. Politics has become the new religion. That's why elections look like holy war. This is true. I mean, it is the zealotry. I mean, I never looked at somebody and said, that person is smart enough to never make a mistake, including myself. Never looked in the mirror and go, you handsome devil, you'll never make a mistake because you're brilliant. Brilliant, I tell you. No, never done that. But that's what it seems like today. I'm sorry. Politics and death threats. Retailers deal with the same thing since COVID. It's been worse. Someone doesn't get a refrigerator delivered when they thought it should be delivered. Doom on you, retailer. Customers actually call and make threats. I mean, yeah. The Bronx turnip. It's Ocasio-Cortez, right? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Bronx turnip. Yes, holy war, good versus evil. The best thing to vote in person on election day like we've done forever. Windstorm in the Bering Sea, steady 40 to 60 hours already. Oof. Good morning. All right. Yeah. I just, and here is the worst thing. The worst thing is that we're going to go through all this angst and agitation and everything else, and then we're not going to know anything for 20 days. 20 days. So, I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what we're going to talk about for 20 days. I mean, we could just chatter and pontificate. It's election month. Yeah, exactly. I waited for a trash compactor for 8 months this last year. That's first world problems. Yeah, true. Yeah, that is true. Politicians control every aspect of our lives. That's why positions are so desired. Well, and this is why I think you see so much sociopathy in politicians, because they're the only ones that want to control all that stuff. All right. You think people actually choose their leaders? Well, I don't know where Sarah is. Come on, sister. I don't know what's going on. But she should be joining us here in just a hot second. Maybe we should just freaking call her, because I don't know what's happening. She should be She should be ready to go. Screw it. We'll just call her. Screw it. We'll do it live. Well, maybe not. Try it one more time. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Okay. Sorry about that. Some technical difficulties. Trying to get Sarah Vance on the phone here in the chat room. And we're waiting for her. She may be calling us back here in just a hot second on the telephone instead. Either way, we're okay with that. All right. Yes, Election Day. This is it. And we won't know a thing for quite a while. So we'll see what goes on from there. Let me resend here. Let me resend another link over to Sarah Vance. She's trying to get it into the chat room right now. And she's having a hard time getting into it. Second link. There we go. All right. So I've sent the link again, and we'll try this again. There we go. All right. Nothing like troubleshooting on the air and getting people back on the program. I mean, it used to be easy when we did phone calls, but now it's a little more conflicted. Now it's a little more confusing. Now it's all good. All right, so I guess here is my question for you as we wait for Sarah Vance to come on into the chat room and talk with us. But have you decided? I mean, everyone that you're going to vote with. Have you decided everyone that you're going to talk to? Because I mean, or do you need one more? Do you need one more commercial to convince you? That's my question. Do you need one more? Do you need one more commercial to make it to make it work? That's my question. Because isn't that it? I mean, all these things. I've been looking at all these different commercial buys that have come in the last few days of the month, right before Election Day. All these things. It's like people are driving to the polls and I'm going to go down and vote for A. And then they hear one more commercial and they're like, oh no, I think I'll vote for B now. That makes sense. I'll just vote for B because, that works for me. I just don't know. Anyway, Sarah Vance joins us this morning, our guest. We're going to do this the old-fashioned way, which is the regular old telephone. Good morning there. How are you doing?
Good morning. I really tried, Michael. I got onto your Google link, and it said I'm the only one in the call.
That's weird. I know. You went to the calendar invite. You didn't go look at the links that I sent this morning. I
did that one the second time. Join with Google Meet.
No, it's not Google Meet. It's the StreamYard. that says StreamYard. There's a link that says StreamYard. So that's the one you need to jump into. It was on I sent it to you via Facebook here a second ago. So look at your Facebook feed and it'll say StreamYard on it. That's the one you need to jump on with a little duck. It's got a little duck icon thing. So
All right, I'm working on it.
You're working
we'll
on
get
it.
there.
We'll get there eventually. Sarah Vance, how are you doing on this last day? You're here to just convince people at the last minute that you're the only choice. This is the last. I love the last minute because by this point, people have not made a decision. I mean, what do you think? I mean, this is kind of a prestigious position, right? I mean, being on the air or being in front of people the last couple of days before election. But why? How many people have not decided? I've always wondered this. I mean, how many people have not decided like early on, like 10 weeks ago, who they're voting for, right? I mean, what do you hear when you're out there talking to people about this?
Well, I've run into a couple of people who have said that they're undecided, and I asked them if they had any questions for me, anything that I could answer for them. And they're like, "No, I'm gonna, talk to my friends about it." Okay, well, let me know if I can answer anything. So I'm not sure what it is that they're wanting to know uh, before they make the determination and they go in the ballot box, but I'm hoping that they see that I've been working for them.
Well, you would hope so. I mean, you'd hope that that's what they would figure it out. But yeah, I mean, at some point you're like, we are the day before election day. That's it. I mean, where do we go from there? I mean, it just doesn't. I don't understand how people have not made that decision up until this point. Personally, that's just me.
Well, we're a part of the special crew. You and all your listeners that what is it, less than 1% or less than 3% that pays attention to politics?
Is that
So
is that what it is? Less than
I think
1%?
it's either 1 or 3. Regardless, it's a really small percentage of the people who actually pay attention to politics, more than 7 minutes a week, and that makes you part of the elite. You're part of the special,
I'm part of the
early
elite.
morning club.
Oh my God. I'm part of the elite. I don't know what to do about that. Yeah.
The crowd who knows too much.
Well, I mean, look, we talk a little bit sometimes here on the program about, low information voters, people who, they only pay attention to the election like, 3 days before the election. And it's like trying to take a sip off a fire hose, right? You're trying to get all this information at the last minute and it just never, you never get it all. But I mean, at some point you have to take personal responsibility for, for learning what you need to learn, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. And that's why I've continued to increase my communication to the district is so they know where to go. It's pretty overwhelming of, well, how do I even know where to find it, good information? How do we know what government's doing? And there's a lot of disconnect with that, but we have so much more access with the internet and social media now to what our governmental leaders are doing. So it's really improved.
Right. Sarah Vance is our guest, House District candidate for District 6 down there. What are you hearing from your constituency, Sarah? What are they talking about? What are they concerned about? I mean, is it the PFD? Is it the economy? I mean, it seems like everybody on the other side was planning on abortion rights and some of those other things to really motivate their base to get out and vote. But what I'm hearing right now is not even so much about the permanent fund. What I'm hearing a lot about now is the economy. How do I pay for gas? How do I put food on the table? How do I do all these other things?
Oh, absolutely. That's, we have a lot of seniors in my district and just talking about how they can check in on each other to make sure that they're getting food, that they're eating, and that they can fill up their fuel tank to heat their homes. I mean, this is definitely a huge concern, and we have a very cold winter. But the very first thing on people's minds right now coming up to the election is what can we do to get rid of ranked choice voting? People clearly know that this is a sham that was thrust upon us. And I remind them that our district did not vote for ballot measure 2 and that I'm going to work to repeal ranked choice voting and get us back to one person, one vote. So people give a big sigh of relief on that.
Right. Because it's confusing. We were just talking about, nothing will be done tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow's election day, and usually you can hit election day with a big sigh of relief and go, oh, okay, now I can. And now it's like, nope, you got to wait another 20, 21 days now for everything to come down. So we're going to be in limbo right up until, just a few days before the governor is required to present a budget. How does that even work? When you've got a governor that's supposed to present you with a budget, and we don't even know who the governor is going to be until 10 days before the until 10 days before the constitutional deadline for that.
Well, that's something that we discussed and we're asking in the legislature, and he's likely going to have to give just a very similar copy and paste budget from last year just to meet the legal requirements of getting something out there and move forward and then do what he can to prepare. I have heard that the administration has been working on a budget for Governor Dunleavy, but like you said, if we have a different governor, they're going to have to scurry.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. What happens if we end up with a Walker or a Garrett? Then what happens? It'll be a whole new deal, and it might be cookie cutter. Are they working on budgets? Do they have the backing of? This whole thing is a hot mess. Let's just put it that way. And here's the thing. This is my personal opinion, and I'm going to make a prediction here. I think we will be reaping the damage from the ranked choice voting system for the next 20 years. I think we will.
I hope you're not right, Michael.
I think we will be reaping the damage. It might be turned over next year. But even if it is, we will feel the repercussions of that for years. That's my prediction at this point. And everything's up in the air, but that's my prediction, is that we will feel the ramification of this for years. And because they were, again, trying to take us out, make us a cheap date and test this out. That's what they're doing. They did it because Alaska was a cheap date and they could test it out in a low population. And now you're seeing other places around the state, they're talking about putting ranked choice voting on the ballot as well. This is the dream job. This is what they want, to get all this stuff out there. What are so you're hearing from your constituencies, ranked choice voting, economy. What's Sarah Vance's idea on how do we address these things? What do you think?
Well, one of the first things that we need to do is work on getting more people back to work. We're seeing that there's a lot of businesses struggling to stay open simply because they do not have workers. And we need to do everything that we can to strengthen our workforce again and help with housing and childcare. That seems to be a big problem. And if we can encourage businesses to take that on, I do not believe that the government is going to be a solution to this. But we may be able to assist by reducing some burdensome regulations to get things going and focus on strengthening the economy by providing a stable budget. We've been talking about this for years. Time, and the big question marks that we've had are starting to be answered. We need to address that by law in Alaska, and we've been waiting a long time. So I'm hopeful that we are going to have a true majority this year and be able to accomplish some good things.
I would agree. Sarah Vance, we need to hope for that. It's hope for the best. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and all your surprises will be happy ones. I don't know about preparing for the worst, but that's where we're at. Sarah Vance, candidate for House District 6 down in the Homer area, is our guest. We're going to continue with her here in just a hot second. Don't go anywhere. We will be back with more here in just a moment. The Michael Dukes Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Hi. How are you? I know it froze up for a minute. I don't know if something's going on with StreamYard or what. But Sarah Vance is joining us this morning.
I'm here.
How are you found us? Was it the wrong link? Is that what you were doing, clicking the wrong link? Or was it this link broken?
The email that you sent was a Google one, not the one with the duck. So the one on Messenger was the right one.
That's weird because I sent it to. That's weird. You know what? I don't know. It could be. It's just a day. It's already a day. I'm going back to bed after the show today. I'm telling you that right now. I am tired, and
I'm sorry for all the trouble, but at least we can talk on the phone the old-fashioned way for the radio.
Exactly. That worked out just fine. So that's good. How you feeling overall, Sarah? I mean, we're in the break here. It's just me and you and 91 of our closest friends on Facebook and YouTube. So how you feeling overall? I mean, are you pretty confident here? Are you encouraging people to still get out, obviously, but has the reaction been pretty good?
It has been. And really what I have people telling me is, yeah, Sarah, I think you're going to do great. You're not going to have a problem here because you have been the best representative that we've had in a very long time. And that's always refreshing to hear, but definitely reminding people to get out and vote, that it really does matter. You know, our district down here on District 6 has been one of the top early voting districts in absentee ballots. So I have a lot of people saying, hey, I already voted for you, which is always a good sign. Yeah, and excited to vote on Tuesday.
Yeah. Definitely not bad when they say I've already voted for you. Okay. Hey, thanks. That makes it good. Brobby says it's still buffering. Let me know if you guys are having a hard time in the chat room this morning with I don't know what's going on. I don't know. It's Monday, and it's the day before elections. So what are you going to do for 21 days after election day? I mean, do you throw your hands up in the air? Do you go take a vacation? What do you do for a few days before all this madness comes out? What is your plan?
Oh my goodness, I'm going to be busier than ever. But what I'm hoping for is that all of the listeners in my district are going to encourage all their friends and neighbors to get out and vote Vance, so that on election night, we can see that I have enough of a landslide that we can call it on election day. Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, that's true, because again, if any candidate in any of these ranked choice voting races, if any candidate goes over 51, it's pretty much done at that point. But that's unusual. It would be awesome to see. I would love to see it down in the peninsula, to see that happen. And maybe it could. Maybe it could. That'd be a fantastic turn of events. Let me just put it that way.
It's up to the voters. They get to determine that. Yeah. And it's amazing how many people intend to vote, but they forget. They're going to work. They're going to vote on election day. Things get busy. So my encouragement to everyone listening is go ahead and send your friend that text. Hey, did you remember to vote today? Especially around 5 o'clock in the evening when people are getting off work, just send that friendly reminder, because they go, oh yeah, there's still time. The polls are open until 8 p.m. or you could go before work, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the polls are open today for early voting right here. Homer City Council, Soldotna Prep School, Soldovia City Council, that you can go ahead and beat the crowd, get in today, get your vote in. But it really does matter. So we're also going to have a party out at Land's End upstairs to watch the numbers roll in and be able to see what's happening. But I'm going to be busy. I have the farm convention up in Anchorage this weekend. There's a couple of fundraiser galas. I have another convention out of state with my Committee for Human Dignity. So there's a lot to be done. My daughter's a nutcracker and I have to volunteer. So a lot of stage help. So very, very busy. And then my mom informed me I'm in charge of baking for Thanksgiving. So we are going to see another Kentucky Derby pie.
Oh man, Kentucky Derby pie looks delicious. My wife came up with a couple other new ones this year that she found from some friend, some grandma, some Nana's old recipe. Nana's old recipe for
Oh yeah.
chocolatey fudge pie, something or other. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll take one for the team. And
Take one for the team.
right. Somebody is asking any early voting today. Might be snow plowing tomorrow. I would just check in with the Division of Elections. I think most of the major polling places are going to be early voting as well. But I would check alaska.gov, the elections, DOE, Division of Elections there to check it out. Okay, Sarah Vance, our guest, Division of Elections on Bogard. I can never remember how to pronounce that. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. All right, folks. 15 seconds. We're about to rejoin. Like and share. We might hit 100 today. It's been a while since we've hit 100 here in the chat room. Look at that. She's repping the gear. She's got the big beard mug there. 6 o'clock club. Represent. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Okay. All righty. One final segment of this hour. Sarah Vance is our guest. She joins us live from Homer. What's the temp down there? Is it warm? Is it cold?
I haven't checked. I think it's cold. It's pretty brisk.
It's like 3 degrees here, so I'm hating life a little bit right now. Just I thought it was going to be I thought we were going to have an Indian summer. Thought we weren't going to have snow until Thanksgiving, but it just didn't happen that way. All right,
it must not be too bad. You're not wearing your scarf.
I know I had the heater blasting in here earlier, and I think I've got a bit of a fever, so I'm already hot. All right. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about, first days. Let's all assume that I've waved a magic wand and Sarah Vance is now back in the legislature. We have a majority. What are your priorities? Give me first looks here at the first 90 days. First 30 days. Let's not go to 90. Let's go 30 days of the new session. What are you focusing on?
Well, the very first thing we're going to do before we get to Junos, we're going to organize. We do not want to have another session where we're taking more than a month to organize. That's just unacceptable. And we've been working on trust and relationships with new candidates and just getting to know each other so that we can avoid that and looking at what it's going to take to govern. So that's a first priority. The second one, obviously, is doing what I told my constituents that I would do, and that is looking to repeal ranked choice voting, getting support for that in both bodies and getting us back to one person, one vote. The second priority, or is that the third? I guess it's the third.
That's the third.
That's the third.
Let's let her see. Let her see.
Okay, we're on top. Is my No Patient Left Alone Act. Last year in the third special session, that passed as an amendment on the House floor to the telehealth bill, and we saw the majority kill the bill. And I introduced it in session this year, never did get a hearing. And I'm committed to passing that bill so that our loved ones do not have to be in a healthcare facility or a hospital alone during surgeries or even on their deathbed. That's still happening in Alaska today, and I want to see that come to an end.
And I think those are all fantastic. And again, we mentioned it earlier in the break, but I think, what we really need, on top of everything you just laid out there, which I think is a good plan, what we really need, Sarah, and what I've been fighting for and railing for years, is we need a long-term fiscal policy in the state. And we just don't have them anymore. There's really never been any long-term. It's always 1 year to the next. It's always one crisis to the next. There's no long-term strategy where people are looking forward, not just to next year, but to 5, 10, 15 years down the road. I mean, the closest thing was, I guess, the governor's 10-year plan that came out the last year before, and the fiscal policy working group. At least they acknowledge that these are all issues that have to be dealt with in combination. And here we are.
Yes, and I'm committed to that as well. I am not the finance person. I am not good at math. I understand the basics of economics and things like that, and what it's going to take to build a strong economy. But I'm not going to be the person that you want in the nitty gritty at this point in the game. But I will be heavy in policy and other committees. But yes, I'm committed with my team to look at that and what it's going to take and think that we can get more out of our budget. There's still so much that needs to be done to find the efficiencies and to squeeze out the best dollars out of our budget so that we can have a fiscal plan and do things wisely. I think all of us can point to where we've seen waste in our government, and we need to be able to take a good look at that and do things better.
No, I mean we've talked about the waste on this program for years. Whether it is additional Medicaid, Medicare programs, whether it's schools, whether it's the funded but unfilled, the ghost positions, as I like to call them, because
Right.
that sounds spooky. The ghost positions. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of positions in the state government that are funded but don't have a body attached to them, so that department can then use that money for pretty much anything they want. They're still providing the service, they're still getting the job done, but they don't have all the bodies that they're supposed to, and they use that money for other things. I mean, they should either fill the position or the funding should be pulled away from that position if they're doing a good enough job right now with what they have. I mean, this is a no-brainer to me. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, there's we've seen that time and time again, but of course, right now we're dealing with the same thing in state government as everyone else is and looking for people to fill some basic positions. Down here on the Lower Peninsula, we were down 2 or 3 people in our road service. Our roads were not being plowed the way that they need to be. Luckily, we have those positions filled this year. But one area that my office has seen that we can make some efficiencies is in the permanent fund division. How many of you have had issues getting your dividend and you've called the office and waited hours and hours, or you've gone into the office and the line was out the door and you haven't been able to get the help you need? So people have been calling my office and saying, hey, for some reason I didn't get my dividend, can you help me? We're able to email the division. But what we're finding out is if they provided more help on the front end, perhaps it would save the division a lot of personnel time at this time of year, having to clean up the mess, right? Having to say, well, we needed this from you, or this was answered incorrectly on the questionnaire. That we would save in just the time that personnel, which time is money, in being able to find those efficiencies in government so they can focus on other things. That's something that has come up this year that I think we could do better and reduce the cost of just issuing our permanent fund dividends.
Right. No, I mean, I think that should be a priority. We need to find a way to take well, I mean, let's face it, Sarah, you've been down there long enough to be able to give me a straight read on this. My assertion has been that the people in charge, the powers that be, the old guard, so to speak, who continue to take the chairs and the leadership positions and everything else, that the permanent fund dividend sucks up all the oxygen in the room all the time. And it creates this perfect crisis moment. And I've been saying that we need to basically take the permanent fund off the table so that all these, so that we can keep, so we can actually get down to the nitty gritty of what's wrong with the state. My assertion has been there are people in that in the powers that be sector that they don't want to take the permanent fund off the table. They like the fact that it creates a crisis mode. They like the fact that it's a pressure point that they could squeeze and push on. And am I wrong on that, in your opinion?
Oh, I agree. And we saw that this year with the budget. We saw that the Senate, by a miracle, was able to get a lawful dividend, the full historical dividend, into the budget. They sent it over to the House, and you saw the Speaker delay that vote for 5 days and start picking off people and negotiating. And you saw the lobbyists rush into the
Right.
Capitol. And all of a sudden, there was a lot of pressure on people who would have voted yes for that dividend because they said they would, their districts needed it. But when it came down to it, we didn't have the votes. I voted yes on that budget. I pinched my
Right.
nose and was going to encourage the governor to pull out his red pen. because that was the first time in 6 or 7 years that we've had a lawful dividend. But we saw them pick everybody off in with their the twisting of the arms, and it was an awful sight to see, and it's highly effective. They do that year after year. But we know that this is an age-old conversation. 20 years ago, the question was put on the ballot before the people. Can we use the dividend to pay for state services? And the people clearly said no. So this
Right.
isn't a recent problem. This has been going on. The legislature, if the cookie jar's there, they're going to stick their hand in it.
Right. And they've been trying to do that since 1999. 83% of Alaskans said not only no, but hell no. And so that's the way we're at. All right, down to 2 minutes here. Sarah, I want to give you a chance. Your final pitch, final bite at the apple. Tell people why. Why should they vote for Sarah Vance, and how do they find out more about you, and where do they go, and where your meeting and your celebratory thing is, and all that stuff. Give it to us.
Well, it is a pleasure serving this district, and you know that I'm going to do your will above everyone else. And you can reach me at sarahvance.org or on my several Facebook pages and social media accounts. You can give me a call or text. I'm always available. My office is still available to help serve you for your needs. But, I encourage you to tell your friends to vote Vance, because I'm working hard for you on more than just legislation. This is a full-time job for me, and I really mean it. But we are having an election watch night party at Land's End beginning at 8 o'clock, because the polls close at 8. And we have a DJ. We're going to have some games and be able to watch the numbers on all the races roll in and have a good time. So that's at Land's End in Homer upstairs. And I'm looking forward to see all of my friends there and hope that we can have a good time.
All right, Sarah Vance. What was it? VoteVance.com? Is that am I got that right? Is that the?
It's sarahvance.org, but
Okay.
you can find me on Vote Sarah Vance on Facebook.
Vote Sarah Vance on Facebook. SarahVance.org or Vote Sarah Vance on Facebook. All right, Sarah Vance, thank you this morning for coming in. Sorry with all the confusion and the different links and everything else. But we persevered. That's the important part.
We did.
So, all right, I appreciate it. Sarah Vance, our guest here as we come into hour 2. In just a hot second, don't go anywhere, Sarah. We're going to be talking with Mike Shower, who is going to be coming in for his final shower hour of power, I guess, before Election Day. We'll see if he can win some hearts and minds. Scorched earth. Or something. It'll be fun. We're going to have a good one. All right, the Michael Duke Show continues. Your home for common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Back with more right after this. All right. Well, one final bite at the apple is what we always try and do. We'll try and give you one more little segment there. If there's anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about, or something you wanted to go a little deeper on, Sarah, I'll give you a couple minutes here to just kind of talk off whatever. Just talk about whatever off the top of your head. I'm going to go take a break. Come on, man.
I think we're preaching to the choir here of all the people who pay attention and know what's going on. And, the main thing is that we're going to keep fighting for you. There's so much noise out there. I think everyone's going to take a big sigh of relief once Tuesday's over, because you can listen to the radio without all the crazy ads and watch YouTube again and things like that. We are looking forward to that relief as well. But the one thing is, we can't do this without the voters. I can't serve without all of you. And, I'm going to keep fighting for you and speaking for you, but I need you to speak for me at the ballot box, and Shower and all the rest of us. I just want to share how much we truly value all that you do for us. You contribute to our campaigns. You get out there and you talk to your friends about us and tell us what we're doing. You watch us during the session and pay attention to what's going on. And we really appreciate that. This is what it's about. This is governing. This is improving Alaska. And I just want to take this moment to say thank you, because it really does matter.
It's the 5s, the 10s, the $15 donations. It's the people who are struggling to put gas in the tank but can still break off a $5 and drop it in your campaign bucket or things like that. Those are the people that, to me, always made the biggest splash when I could look at them and see that that $5 meant something to them. It wasn't just another Starbucks coffee drink. This was an important, this is something important from their budget. And I was always touched by that. So I agree with you. I love to see it. I don't know. I was just reading all the talking heads and nobody really knows which way anything's going, right? I mean, we're so up in the air between in Alaska with ranked choice voting and in the rest of the country with the Roe v. Wade and this and that and the other thing. Red wave. I mean, do you think it's happening?
I think so. It's pretty hard to ignore how detrimental the leftist policies have been to our economy, to energy, to inflation, and it's getting so obvious that people can't ignore it anymore. They can't justify any other reason because we see 2 years ago what we had. We saw, you can just look at the price of gas. And same with my opponent is preaching about ending oil and gas in Alaska and not giving people options for energy. We don't need that. We need every option available to us right now because
Right.
the effects of this Biden economy is going to last for several years. And we need to be able to help our friends and neighbors in whatever way we can and strengthen the economy in Alaska. And I think people are seeing it. It's very, very clear that we just had a better environment, a better economy, and just an easier way of living under conservative principles.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of things in play, but I think that the inflation and the transitory nature of it, supposedly, and everything else, I think all those comments lead back to people thinking, and this is something historical. This is not anything of a surprise. I mean, the person in power of the White House and in the halls of Congress, they're the ones that take the blame when the economy goes down. And I think, as we continue to quote James Carville, it's the economy, stupid. I mean, there's a lot of other issues, guns, abortion, everything else. But the bottom line is people, what they're affected by is that pocketbook day in and day out. That's what affects them. A couple of people have asked about your stance on the con. You're a pro con person, right? You're voting for the Constitutional Convention. Am I right?
I'm a pro con.
Yeah.
Yes. Article 1, Section 2 says that all political power is inherent in the will of the people. And I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust the process and believe that you can do things that the legislature cannot.
Yeah.
So, my hands have been tied, but yours are not. And I'm empowering the people to use the authority that our first constitutional convention gave them.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, Sarah Vance, good luck, my dear. I think it's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to see. I mean, who knows? You may be celebrating tomorrow night. That would be amazing. I would, my hat would definitely be
I
off
hope
to
so.
you. Thank you for coming on board. It's good to hear from you. And we appreciate you being part of the show. And thumbs up. Good luck for you for tomorrow.
See you on the other side.
All right. Thanks so much. Sarah Vance, our guest here on the program, as we get ready to go. All right. Mike Shower's going to be joining us in a hot minute. I just sent him a bunch of text messages to make sure that he had the right link and everything else and yada, yada, yada. So hopefully, fingers crossed, all that stuff works out here. And we're going to be diving into it. We haven't talked with Shower in weeks. I was just going to look up at my on my calendar here to see how long it's been. It's been a day or two, haven't it? Since we had Shower on. He's on today. Woof. Nope. Man, I don't think we've had him on since August. It's been a while. So we're looking forward to having him on. We're looking forward to having Mike Shower on here in just a few moments. So we're going to be diving into that and talking about it. Don't forget to like and share the show. We hit 100 today. I thought that was it's been a while since we've hit 100 in the chat room between Facebook and YouTube. So thank you for coming in. If you're brand new to the show, please make sure that you like and follow the show pages wherever you came in on, whether that's Facebook or YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell on YouTube, and follow and like the show on Facebook. And we're all hanging out together. We need the shower hour of power, says Stan. Yep, that's what we're doing. Did you forget to show up at the tug on Friday? Yes, I was slammed. I didn't forget. I ended up working until something like 6:30 that night on something else. I was on 2 projects, and so I just didn't get away. So my bad. I was going to go down and see him, and I didn't do it. Good morning and welcome to it, the Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That's just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Good morning and welcome back to the program. It is hour 2, and as you can tell, I'm a little under the weather today. I'm not 100% with it all the time. All right, welcome back to the program. Thanks for coming in and joining us. We are diving into it here this morning, the final day before Election Day. The final day. Unfortunately, that doesn't help us because we'll still be 21 days away from. We still won't know what's going on in most of those races for days. But at least maybe we can stop hearing the political ads. How about that? Joining us this morning to talk about stuff and things and campaigns. Like I said, I don't think we've talked to him since August. We're going to be joined by State Senator Mike Shower, who joins us this morning, first via telephone, and then we'll talk with him about, we'll see how he works here in just a bit. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good, Michael. How are you?
You know, it's Monday, and it's Monday. It's Monday. That's about all I got. That's about all I got to say this morning. Monday, and here I am. So what's going on, my friend? It's been a while since we've had a chance to chat and talk. How are things going in the campaign? Give me a thumbnail here of what you've been doing and who you've been talking to and what the consensus is from all the folks you've been dealing with.
Well, it is good to talk to you guys again. It's been a while, but I'm sure you told everybody it wasn't because we, didn't want to talk. Just you had a really busy show.
Yeah.
You had all these different candidates come on, which I think is awesome.
Yeah,
that you're getting people. Hopefully, you got my opponent on. I have not paid attention since you said you had a really full schedule. Which
that was a whole lot of nothing, my friend. A whole lot of nothing. Yeah.
I assumed he would come on so he could talk about all the. Well, okay, that's a bummer. Oh well. We never did have a debate, so I know he was offered at least 4 times to have one, so no debate. So that was unfortunate because I think that would have been a really good thing for people to be able to ask questions and watch us, contrast and compare personalities and positions on things because we've never done that, not one time. So that's unfortunate, but I didn't realize that. Like I said, I've just been doing my thing because you've had all of the candidates on. But anyways, it's awesome that you got all those people on. We, on the other hand, have been exceedingly busy, as you're well aware. I know we've talked on the phone once or twice and just, offline. And we focus a lot of time on Big Lake and KGB because, the old Rudrick special, redistricting put us in my opponent's backyard.
Right.
It's where we were down almost all the votes and makes sense really when you think about it.
Right.
I mean, that's a place where they know that name and we've never, we didn't represent that, so they didn't know us. And so we have spent a good portion of our time focusing there, walking neighborhoods. I don't know what we're up to now, probably 1,500 houses maybe, or so neighborhood wise. And I've actually heard from the other camp, we don't walk neighborhoods and in our district because, people don't want that. I'm like, well, first of all, you obviously have no idea what they want because you're not walking neighborhoods. Secondly, I've walked probably at this point 4,000 to 5,000 houses total. And trust me, they actually appreciate the fact that you show up and bother to get into their neighborhood and take the time to walk houses and ask them questions. People do appreciate it. And I would tell you, we get about, I don't know, Mike, I guess 85% positive. The negatives are, it's like the don't tread on me. I'm not interested. They kind of shut the door, or, you get the occasional Democrat that's like, I don't want your garbage, but that's pretty rare. Even a lot of Democrats, so they just want to ask questions. So that's been really cool, as it is, always has been, to talk to people. And a lot of events, of course, again, back to the size of the district, from Valdez, still Glen Allen, all the way through the Matsu and Lake KGB. And now we go up to Healy, past Healy, to Clear, and I have to get it right because I always want to say Clear Air Force Station. It's Clear Space Force Station. Still feel like I'm on Star Trek.
Right.
And it's going good. I mean, Mike, we've gotten a ton of fundraising and donations from people, especially after the primary, when I think it kind of shocks some people, the results. And our fundraising has been significant if you look at APOC compared to the other camp. And the other thing was really cool is that the other camp has, a lot of union donations and PACs and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's maybe almost the majority of it. And you look at ours and it's all Alaskans. I mean, I should say all individuals, all people. Right. And most of it in the $20 to $100 range, which just shows me, a swell of grassroots support, which for Michelle and I has been very encouraging because it feels like, okay, we have the support, right?
Right.
People are giving us, we've had $5, $10, $20 donations. People say, Mike, it's all I got. I go, well, that's a big deal, right?
Right.
So,
I just said that with Sarah. There was nothing when I was running for office. First of all, there was nothing better than going door to door because you got to see people on their front porch and they were more than willing to share their thoughts with you, which I always found just fascinating. And like you said, if they gave you 5 or 10 or 15 or $20, sometimes you could see that that was a lot for them. I mean, that was like they were deciding whether, that was a big decision. And it's definitely very humbling to see those kind of donations come in.
Yeah, it really was. So between the walking, and we still were walking other parts of the district, obviously, even in Valdez and up in Healy, et cetera. But the walking, the donations, the volunteers, we've been waving signs, believe it or not. You normally don't do that the last couple of days. We've been waving signs for about a month now or a little more. And there's a pretty good group of volunteers coming out. We've had upwards of 25 people almost every week going out. We've done it a couple times in the last week. A couple of us were just over at Big Lake Three Bears Saturday, morning, and it was like 10 degrees out. Yeah, we're all dressed up with our signs, waving them, a handful of us over there. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But there's all that stuff, Mike, just busy radio, when we can. We are just putting out a ton of radio ads all over the district. I mean, radio stations in every part of the district. We have mailers, sometimes 2 in every precinct in the district. Digital ads in the entire district, geo-fenced for it. I mean, it's Mike, we are, basically we're leaving nothing on the field, everything. And we're just doing everything we can every last minute. Clearly this one was a dogfight and just like I said, leaving nothing on the field. So now it will be up to the people. They will either choose, us or they'll choose the other guy, and we'll see where we go. And I hope they choose us because there's an awful lot at stake here when you look at things like the PFD and the binding caucus and who's going to control the Senate. The Senate is really what's at stake right now. And if we don't send the right people back, I'll tell you right now, there will be a binding caucus and there will be a tiny PFD and there will be no repeal of ranked choice voting and there will be no election integrity or judicial reform. The Senate will be what it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. It'll do what it wants, and that'll be the end of it. So I'm not just specifically talking my race. I mean, there's other ones like Kathy Giesel comes back over Holland. Well, we know where that's going.
Right.
Matt Clayman beats Costello, who, by the way, Kathy Giesel's campaigning with Matt Clayman, and Giesel still claims to be a Republican. It's laughable. She's co-chair on Walker Dry Gas as a Democrat governor. I mean, just the stuff that's at stake, Mike, is big deal. So we'll see. I mean, whatever happens, as I told you, we'll be at peace. We'll go where we're led and where we need to be. But I do hope we get enough of the right people back to control the Senate, because what would be really tragic is after the last 4 years to get the House back under control of people that are going to stick together and then watch the Senate become the House. So
Yeah, no, I mean, look, this is the opportunity right here. This is the chance. I'm disappointed when any candidate won't come on, won't respond, won't talk to me. I'm very frustrated by that, especially in light of some of the things that have come out since the beginning of this campaign, and some of the accusations that I've heard about Massey. I know he refuted one thing in the must-read column, but there really was no refutation. It was more just outrage that somebody would bring that stuff up. And I think this is important. We need to have people that we know, that we could trust, that have a track record. And I think you've been doing it. I'm just psyched that with the redistricting, you ended up in my district. I mean, that's exciting for me. So I get a chance to vote for Mike Shower coming up. Yeah, no, it's it was weird. I was in David Wilson's district, and all of a sudden, with the lines redrawn, guess what? Mike Shower is my guy. So there was some irony there for sure. As you go about and you talk to people, it used to be PFD was a big deal, but it seems like more and more we're watching what's going on with the economy and the oil, gas prices, diesel shortage. I mean, we could just lay the things out. Has that pendulum swung around? Are they more concerned now about, the economics, the economy, the inflation, that kind of stuff? Is that what they're talking about?
I think that you're right, Mike. When I listen, like I said, we've walked so many houses right now, which is, in my opinion, regardless of what other people think, I think it's a very good barometer to listen to people, not just town halls and all that stuff, whatever, but we've, again, talked to several thousand people, and it is interesting to hear what is at stake to them. And you're right. Like I told you, I think a few months ago, I was already hearing it. It's kind of like the 1992 campaign, presidential, Bush and Clinton. It's like, it's the economy, stupid, and literally for most people, they're wondering, or how are they going to pay their bills? Now the PFD mattered, right, and it's come up in conversation because, a lot of people have realized that I'm the one that put the amendment in for the statutory PFD.
Right.
That arcane concept of following the law in Alaska.
Wait. You mean we're supposed to follow a law once it's on the books?
Yeah.
It's
so weird.
How does that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird concept. Sometimes it's just like, damn, like, oh, what, the law, follow it? So, but that's come up a few times, and but it's in the construct of what you're talking about. They're like, the PFD really helped. Like, I used it to pay, to get my heating oil, because it's like, $1 million to fill your, heating oil tank right now at the cost, or, I had to pay my bills off or whatever, and the price of gas, commuting and working. So the PFD is still important to people, Michael, but that's in the concept of the greater cost of goods with inflation right now and where things sit. But most people are discussing how expensive things are, whether it's food, fuel, just in general, trying to survive seems to be what's mostly on their mind. The other part of our district, everywhere, of course, is roads and infrastructure. That's, our roads in the Matsu are terrible. We all know it. We've been getting shorted by certain people on finance, they hate the Matsu for years, nothing to do with me, just they don't like us. And so trying to get road money and infrastructure for the maintenance, upkeep, and new upgrades has been a big deal. Crime, and in the more rural parts, I continue to hear about, first responders, emergency services, more law enforcement, troopers, et cetera. So those are the big things I think on people's minds. But almost everything has something percolating through it to do with the economy and the price of living right now, and whether or not people are even going to have jobs. So it's everywhere. I mean, every conversation you have, somehow it's got that included in it.
Right.
Whether the PFD is a central part or not, it's there.
Right. It comes back to it because that's what it's on everybody's mind. I mean, my wife came to me the other day, and she came back from the store, and she's like, this and this and this and this has, some of it's nearly doubled in price. I mean, she's getting worried, as she should, as many of us should, as we look at this. I mean, I got a bunch of people in my house eating grub and eating groceries. And every time she goes there, what was $1,000 trip might now be a $1,400 trip. I mean, that's not something you can continue on,
That is correct, my friend. And that is a problem for everybody. So, unless you're very wealthy, we're very well off. It's tough. And the ones that really, you can hit are the people that are very, struggling to get by. That'd be the people that are, minimum wage jobs, or, maybe just one's working, they lost their job. And then the seniors, those on fixed incomes, boy, they're really struggling right now.
Yeah.
So we went and did the food bank a couple of weeks ago. Senator Wilson and I went there and we were talking to him, and one of the ladies coughed up, and she right out and said it. Didn't ask her. She's like, "Hey, thank you for the PFD." She's like, because all these people with the food bank, she's like, right now, everybody that's struggling is using it literally to try to buy food, because their food bank usage is just spiking right now because they don't know what to do. Right. They're like, people living in a car, they can't pay for food for their kids. And so it is, you see it for real, Mike, when you talk to these people and they come back and tell you that. They're like, man, you can see it everywhere you go, that people are struggling and just trying to get by. So it's tough. And it's not even really on the, to get on the political side of it, just watching people struggle, and trying to figure out how to help them. And, we have direct method with PFD. That's why it's nice. Yeah. That's our money, and we can help our own people, and that's a great thing. But, not that everybody agrees with that.
No, because obviously look at the pushback you got after you introduced it. I mean, that, how hard is it to just hashtag follow the damn law? That's all we're asking, and you put it forward and it immediately got riddled full of holes. And that's what's going on. Mike Shower is our guest candidate for State Senate, District O, currently your senator there. We're going to continue with him here in just a moment. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Dukes Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Don't forget, you can come out and join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Michael Dukes Show. We'll be back with more right after this.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes,
allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
All right, Mike Shower's our guest. Let's try this, shall we? See if we can bring all this on board. Hey, look at that. It actually works. You got yourself muted. Now I unmuted you. Hey, let me turn that off so you can't do that. There we go. Boom.
There you go.
There we go. No more phone. No more echo. All right. So
can't hear you, though.
You can't hear me? You can't hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
Technology. Two old guys. Woo.
All right, hold on a second here. I got a little bit of echo from you here. I got to make sure that I can hear myself. I don't want to hear myself. Okay. All right. So fill me in, baby. What's I just want to look back and look. I mean, we've talked a couple times, but you haven't been on the program since August. Give me a report from the trail. I mean, you're seeing that, like you said, 85% are positive when you go out and talk to them. But again, I think you also mentioned that people were shocked, I tell you, when the primary election results came in. Has that motivated people to get more in your camp?
I think so, Mike. That's probably the biggest thing, is that people are going, wow, how are you behind in the primary when, you're the conservative guy and everybody likes you, you're doing all the conservative issues. And then, of course, you're fighting a name, name recognition matters. And then Big Lake and KGB, that was the issue. That family's been there for 50 or 60 years, so that's an easy thing to see. Most people will vote, when they look on the, they see two names, a Republican or Democrat, they'll vote for where their favorite, party is. And then if they know two names, they'll pick the one that they've heard, not the other one. So that's why we focused a lot of time on trying to get people to understand, no, it would be me. It wouldn't be Wilson anymore, because I've had some people that said they didn't want him anymore just because I think he's been around a while, for whatever the reasons are. And once I said, well, I would be your new senator, they're, oh, well, I like you, but the problem is, Mike, you got to go have that conversation 6,000 or 7,000 times to let everybody know it would be me and what I stand for, and whether or not they've heard of me. So, trying to saturate that area and let them know has been important. When we've been in that backyard for the last several months since the primary, focusing, resetting the ground game plan, the battle plan. And like I said, most of it's been very positive from people. They come up and we talk to them. They say, oh, well, I like you. You're the guy. And I've talked to a lot of people that have switched their votes. So they say, hopefully. Right. So, oh, well, now that I know you, I'll vote for you now. But they just don't know that, like I said, a name thing. So between the donations spiking like they have, the ground game we're seeing walking everywhere, the volunteers that we're stepping up, and the feedback that we're getting, it's very positive. And so I think, especially when you see the donations, Mike, when you look at the APOC reports and see how much better we were doing, I think that matters because it does show ground support. and momentum, kind of that grassroots. So I hope that that's making a difference for us. And when I talk to people around the district in different parts too, that's what I see is the people reaching out to us. So I think that we have had a momentum shift in our direction, but I'm not taking time to do polling. I'm not asking. That's just the general feel from walking neighborhoods and talking to people at town halls and meet and greets. But you never know in politics until the votes come in. And of course, we have the ranked choice voting thing. What that's going to do to people? Are they going to show up? Are they going to be in person? What's the online and absentee ballot? Because I've heard we've mailed out somewhere between 53 to 58,000 absentee ballots. So that'd be interesting to see. And the last point I'm making, we can say it on the radio. I sent a letter to the director of the Division of Elections last week, to Phenomii, and asked once again, I said, have we done anything since November of 2020 to upgrade the security of the 113,000 Alaskans, data who was stolen? No, she said that on the record. Have we done anything to make sure that we've checked all of the data for who was not only had their data breached, but to secure the system and the IT? No. So, according to Lieutenant Governor Meyer, who's been so cooperative with me on election reform, and the Division of Elections Director, we have not done anything to upgrade our system. So,
all right, well, let's grab into that here. We're 20 seconds out, so don't go anywhere. Captain Mike Shower, congratulations, by the way. You made captain.
Yeah,
you've been a little busy. That's exactly it. All right, hold on, my friend. Let's get back into it. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Like and share, like and share, like and follow. Here we go. All right, State Senator Mike Shower is our guest, running for re-election now in District O, was previously District E, but we had some changes, some redistricting. Like I said, I was happy to see that I was redistricted into Mike's district, and that made me happy. But it came with its own set of problems and, of course, name recognition and everything else. We were just talking about that. But we were also talking about some of the highlights and some of the things that Mike's been focusing on as he has been in the legislature. One of your big things has been, voter security, voter accountability, election security. And you just sent a letter out last week to Gail Phenomii, who is the director to the Division of Elections, talking about these things, and you got some interesting answers back. Yeah,
so far we haven't done anything, Mike. That's been the problem, is the state itself under the lieutenant governor who's responsible for elections. And, I've talked pretty openly here that, we haven't gotten the response or the help on a lot of things that I'd hoped we would, to and include at the end of last session when Lieutenant Governor stepped in, about a week and a half before the end of the session and said, well, I don't like your bill. You mean the bill I've been working with you on for 2 years and that you told me to do? And now you come in with Randy Rujic telling you he doesn't like it. And all of a sudden it's an issue. Like, yeah, whatever, dude. I mean, it was not a very happy meeting. They were fine. The very end, they go, we don't like it. And then, of course, Randy Rujic puts an article. That's a Democrat bill. I'm like, you liar. You flat out liar. I'm like, why don't you tell the rest of the story there, Randy, that the fact that the House is controlled by Democrats, they wouldn't even look at the bill. They weren't going to look at anything, nothing, zero be done. But you also had in that bill an update to cleaning up our election rolls, right, which we desperately need because we're overinflated. We had IT stuff in their security. We had ballot tracking in there. We got us out of the ERIC system. We got rid of Dominion machines. So don't freaking tell me that it's a freaking Democrat bill. It had some stuff that they wanted. Of course it did, because it was the only way we're going to get it done. And
it's called compromise, right? It's called
compromise if you're going to get that other stuff that we wanted done before this election. And now we've got nothing, with no help from the lieutenant governor. Randy Rujic spewing his lies, and then my opponent taking it and trying to run with it like it's a story because he doesn't understand it at all. Ask him about election integrity, he's going to go, huh, what? Because he has no idea how to talk about it. Not a clue. And so, that was one of the biggest lies about that. Was frustrating. It's like, well, same day registration, that's what they want. I'm like, Randy, do you even understand how it works? Because we agreed to let them register the same day, but they still have to live within the 30 days in that district. It doesn't change it. And they had to vote a question ballot to do so. They weren't just going to get to register and vote like they came up from Mexico. But see, he doesn't tell you that. And he doesn't tell you that no bill was going to move because the House was controlled by Democrats. He doesn't put all the other stuff into the bill that we needed to update our system. He only tells you his little part of the story to spew the lie like they do. Standard garbage at a politicos, right? So, but we were close. We almost passed that when it fell apart in the last 30 minutes. And Scott Ogan on his own went out and wrote an article that got published in Must Read. I read it. Well, it's pretty much spot on. That we killed it in the end because all those amendments came down, that big massive amendment for it in the last 30 minutes. And I'm like, I can't look at this in 30 minutes. I have no idea what it does. So after all that work and compromise trying to get it through, we basically killed it in the last 30 minutes, which was painful, but so be it. The other thing
this is after, I just want to make it clear to people, this is after 2 years of compromising, working across the aisle, putting all this stuff together, trying to get information out of the Division of Elections, trying to see the OMB report for that, all those things. You worked on this for 2 years and they hung a bunch of stuff on it in the last 30 minutes and you had to kill it.
I had to kill it. Yeah. That bill that mattered for a lot of good stuff that we wanted and needed. And what are you going to do, Mike? I mean, that's the way they play politics. It gets dirty. And it was like, all right, it's done. And it shoved a bunch of other stuff in there too. And Christmas treated with 2 other bills. So I'm just like, all right, well, that's the end of it. So be it. That's politics. But that failed. And of course, like I said, I've got my opponent out there. He's going, whoa, he couldn't pass a bill. I'm like, that's because I'm not passing freaking name a bridge bills. I'm not passing board extensions that everybody votes for because they're while they need to be done, they're not hard. Everybody votes for it. I could do that and pass 6, 7, 8 bills too. I didn't do that. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm there to do the important stuff. And election reform was one of those.
Well, some of us, a politician who doesn't pass bills is a good thing.
That's right. Passing bills left and right. It's always unless the bill's like stripping out stuff, right? Like reducing government, that would be a positive. The judicial selection bill I had, that's the other lie being spread. Well, Shower can't pass bills. He actually said this. He can't get bills out of his own committee. The only bills out of my committee I didn't move were the ones I chose not to move. And primarily that was the constitutional amendment ones because I knew they weren't going to go anywhere. We filed them as a talking point so we could discuss them. So again, it's showing an ignorance of how it actually works and what happened and or just spreading a lie, right? Lots of lies, Mike. For the clean campaign rhetoric, it's been pretty dirty. It really has. Other than the district chair putting out that thing about my opponent, which I had no part of and didn't want a part of and don't want anything to do with that.
Right.
I get this, and I find out as well a couple of weeks ago that my opponent invited, you know this? I haven't even said this on the radio. He invited good old boy Senator Josh Revak to his little campaign deal there in Big Lake and allowed Josh Revak to stand up there and absolutely tear into my character and impugn me for, I don't know, like 10 minutes. Somebody told me that. They called and said, hey, I was there. This is what he did. And then he writes like a day or two later, he writes that article that, about the district chair wrote and said all that. And he said, he talks, well, I wanted a clean campaign. I'm like, you just let Josh Revak stand up at a campaign event and impugn my character for, however long that happened and said nothing. So don't talk to me about clean campaigns, Mike. This is the stuff that's going on that nobody sees. It's not being talked about. This is the Wasilla, power, cobble, going on with the old family names that are all connected. So, I have not talked about this stuff. I've just taken it on the chin and continued to focus on policy, election reform, judicial reform, comprehensive fiscal plan, comprehensive energy plan, the things that matter for the state, the constitutional amendments that need to happen, whether or not we should have a constitutional convention. Even with all this going on, I'm still out there trying to talk to people and debate it. I debated Libby Bacalar, of all people.
Yeah. Right? That was a hell of a debate. For those of you who don't know who Libby Bacalar is, she's the One Hot Mess Alaska Twitter gal, and she's the attorney that got fired by Dunleavy that took it all to court. She's an interesting cat. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's just to kind of talk about the fact that, all the things that are important, because you asked. I mean, I've been working my tail off on the hard stuff, actually moving most of it. Where it gets killed is, of course, either the House controlled by leftist Democrats. And, anybody can sit here and say, wow, Shower can't move his bills. Yeah, no, neither are you. You're not moving a bill through that House either. 1, 2, or it gets killed by the Rhino Republicans in the Senate, because I've dealt with that, right? 2 of my bills made it to finance. You think Burt Stedman and Click Bishop let them go through? No, they died.
Yep.
Right. Because they're angry and they don't like the Matsu. So, people can sit here and crow about how much they're going to do, Mike. That again shows just an ignorance of how the process works, because with the way the bodies are set up and who's in certain positions, you're not moving those bills. They don't like them. I had the make the binding caucus bill illegal, got it all the way through the Senate. It was sitting in rules ready to go to the floor for a vote. Do you know who refused to bring it up? One of the old guard three in the Senate. You got Stevens, Bishop, and Stedman. Stevens wouldn't let it come to the floor for a vote. It was in his committee, ready to go right to the floor. I had that bill. It sat there, and he refused to do it. Don't tell me I can't move bills. It's because certain people don't want those bills or they don't like those bills, and that's the way it works, Mike. It's like the defund the police ones that came out of a certain Democrat. I didn't move those bills, right?
Yeah.
Because those bills are terrible. We don't want to defund the police and all that stuff. No, we're not doing that. So,
but the problem is, of course, low information voters are people who don't understand how the process works. They hear that and they go, "Oh, he can't get bills passed." They don't understand that that's how it works.
Or that I missed 25% of the votes. Now, let's just talk about that lie, because I actually had to get online and counter that one, Mike, because, I'm sitting here going, there was this is kind of fascinating. I'll give this one little thing here. So there was this pro-life, right? I had ads out that said I'm the only pro-life candidate because my opponent has it written nowhere. I'm pro-life. I'm open about it. I have it written down. I've told you I'm a Christian, and that's my position, right? I don't jump up and down about it. It's not my only issue like some candidates, but it's important to me. So it's out there. And I said, well, he doesn't have it written anywhere. I've never heard him answer the question. So I must be the only pro-life. So we put out some ads, some digital ads. It was out there. And then I got a couple people calling up and say, well, Mike, he's pro-life. I'm like, well, where? It's not written anywhere. Well, he is. I've asked him. I said, all right, you know what? Based on those conversations alone, I'll fix it. I'm not going to have false information. Not that him and I are going to talk, but so be it. So I did. With that day, I fixed it, pulled it all down, changed it. You know what hasn't happened, Mike? Massey's 25% of the votes I've missed lie. That all you have to do is go to AKLEG and look at the amount of votes and add and do a little division. It's real simple math. And it's like, no, I haven't missed half that many votes, right? And I'm in the middle of the pack for legislators because we all miss votes, right? That's why I wrote that article to counter. Said, so I guess I shouldn't have been home with Michelle during her emergency back surgery at the end of one session. You're right. I should have just stayed there because I'm sure that's what you would have done. I'm sure you would have missed a family funeral, right? I'm sure you would have missed a family wedding. Yeah, sure you would have, right? We all miss some things, like medical appointments that you can't get because you're gone for 4, 5, 6 months out of the year for the no, come on, stop the lie, right? And the garbage. But you know what hasn't been retracted? That 25% lie. I've done the right thing. I just on a phone call, not even talking to him. He knows that's not true. He hasn't retracted it, hasn't said anything. So don't talk to me about clean campaigning. Don't talk to me about integrity, because the one that's demonstrated it is me.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, brother, I ain't seeing it from the other side, because those things are sitting out there and they're using it. And, if you're going to say stuff like that, Mike, at least make it something that's hard to prove.
Yeah, no, exactly.
All you got to do is go to the official state website and do the math. And it's like, right, he hasn't missed that many. Wow. And matter of fact, Mike, I'll tell you this. I went and looked at them all just to check it out for Republicans. Not one person's even close to ever missing 25% of the vote. That's how crazy it is. So that's the garbage that's going on. And whatever, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, Mike. I'm going to talk to you guys about it. And I've been quiet. I haven't even said it out there, but I'm going to focus on policy because that's what matters. And people make their choice. And so be it.
Yeah. Well, and all we have to do is, look at, you want to know who's voting. All you have to do is look at the company they keep, and we look at some of the company that's being kept here. We understand the support of people, Kathy Giesel and others that are out there. It's not surprising, I guess, at this point to understand where this is coming from. All right. We're coming up on the break. Mike Shower is our guest. We're going to give him one final segment to just, oh my God, we're going to let him let loose. That should be interesting. We'll just see what happens
already.
No, I guess this has been the sedate Mike Shower. We're now going to jump over and take a quick break. And when we come back, we will continue with Mike Shower here and see what he has to say. When we give him his head, he can basically talk about whatever he wants to talk about. We'll get into that here in just a second. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll return with more here in just a moment.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Mike Shower is our guest. Shower rant. It's been too long. Says says David. All right, so we're gonna get into that here in just a hot second.
I'd like to look at the comments. I just can't. It gets distracting because then you want to chase a rabbit hole, or you're
I know.
mentally reading it, and I'm pausing on the radio. So I learned a long time ago not to look at the comments until later because it's just too hard to kind of multitask.
I'll make sure to throw some good ones up in front of you so you could see them right there on the screen. All right. Well, Mike, we're in the break right now for 4 or 5 minutes. What do you think's going to happen to the Senate majority? I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing, we got the long shot in Elijah Verhagen. Bert Stedman is gonna. I mean, he really doesn't have much of a challenger. So Gary Stevens probably is the one that has the biggest challenger in that group. But what do you think? As you watch this? I mean, Kawasaki could lose to Matherly. I mean, we got all these different things. Give me your thoughts on how the Senate reorganizes. Is this going to be a repeat of the last 2 years, do you think?
Well, so I'll give it a little bit of a numbers breakdown. So just think of some of the players here. So first of all, on the old guard, if one of those three doesn't come back, that's a significant power shift. So, and you're right on the first guy. Click he's got too much union money. I mean, he's just like, look at his thing. It's like union, thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. And Elijah doesn't have the name recognition. So yeah, likely Click wins that one. Plus the west half of Fairbanks is pretty blue. He's not going to be all that popular out, in the Delta Junction area and parts of Glen Allen that I was representing because he took over for that. But, he's got West Fairbanks. So, blue at the university and whatnot. So probably wins. Stedman, like you said, no strong challenger coming up there right now. So he probably wins. But Stevens, does have one, we'll see. It's a slimmer chance, but there is a chance. So, if those three come back, is what it is. We know their positions on everything. They've been there forever. And then you have the other kind of key races. So you got the Matherly Kawasaki. That's a key race. You have Costello Clayman. That's a key race. You got Holland Giesel. You got Tuckerman and that other guy, down in the peninsula. You got the McCarty Merrick race, and you have my race with Massey. So, if one of the old power guard, like I said, doesn't come back, that's a shift. But let's just assume they all come back. So, which means almost every other one of those races we talked about matters, because to get to 11, you have to virtually win all of those. To come in with a strong hand, right? And then be able to go right from day one, you can organize and say, nope, we're going to do this. And, no binding caucus, we're going to organize around these principles and have the ability to set, which committees and membership to kind of show where you're going to go policy wise, right? Because if you had, for example, the same people in charge of finance, at the end of the day, Mike, it almost doesn't matter what we do. Nothing's going to change, right? We've seen for 4 years how that was run by the same people, literally on the committee. So if you can't shake those things up and get some differences, that matters. And let's just to talk about this. So Giesel wins over Holland. Okay, she's going to join that power group that's been there forever, and she'll join the Democrats. She's told everybody she'll do it, and we already know who Kathy Giesel is. So that's a significant shift. If Merrick wins over McCarty, probably stick with the Republicans, but she's also gone over to the Democrats and demonstrated she would. So I don't know. I mean, who knows where that takes you as a wild card. McCarty has stuck with Republicans, and generally the same on the issues with the House minority in, over the last couple of years. So you got my race, obviously a big difference between Massey and myself, the PFD, binding caucus, election reform stuff. I mean, it's so significant differences there. And he has said he would take a collaborative approach, which when you look at it, that means that he'll join the binding caucus and go along with the old guard. So that's another power shift. Matherly, I don't know about, but certainly Kawasaki would be with the Democrats. So, if that race, that would actually be a minus for them, for the Democrats. They could go back with 8. If you go, and this is why I'm kind of going through the numbers, Mike, because if you lose Mia Costello, that's Matt Clayman. That's a plus for the Democrats. If the Democrats go back with 8, you got Stedman, Stevens, and Bishop, almost guaranteed, without even a question, they will join the Democrats to get power. 1 or 2 others will probably do that too. You could probably guess who the names would be. And the next thing you know, you got a bipartisan coalition. You lost the Senate just like you lost the House the last 4 years, and nothing really changes. You probably have a House with Republicans and a governor, because it looks like Dunleavy will probably win. But nothing's changed. It's just flip which body is under control of Democrats, or mostly Democrats. So that's why the numbers matter. You could lose just 1 or 2 of these races, and that's what happens. And so we could sit here all day and spin our wheels about who might win or lose, but those are kind of the numbers. You basically have to sweep the table and have to almost win them all, or see the Democrats lose one, like Matherly, Kawasaki to hope that you can put together an organization that still has mostly conservatives controlling the Senate and not mostly Democrats.
Yeah.
Those are numbers, and that's a real danger. So
no, I agree, and I think that is that's an honest approach. That's an honest look at where we're coming from. This is going to be a tough session. This is going to be a tough session, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. All right, we are about 15 seconds away right now. Mike Shower is our guest, candidate for Senate District O for re-election. Used to be Senate District E. You can find him online, and he'll tell you where here in just a second. We're going to go. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio.
the problem is I want to dance to music, and now people can see.
Yeah, Mike Shower, he wants to dance. We give him a little music, and he dance, monkey, dance. That's how it works. Mike Shower is our guest, candidate for Senate District O. Was E, now it's O. And we're going to jump back into it here and give him the floor for the final little segment here. We were just talking about the makeup of the Senate and the races that are important. So, Mike, I think that's good stuff. If you want to repeat just a little bit of it or thumbnail it for us, and then we'll give you the floor to talk about whatever it is that you want to chat about here.
Gee, repeating myself. I haven't gone through that the last few months. I wish we could have the same conversation a couple 100,000 times. Maybe we could convince people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the Constitutional Convention. If I can sit there and talk to somebody for a while and go through it, most people go, oh, that's okay. But every conversation starts with, Mike, all I hear is how bad it's going to be. I mean, I should probably vote no, right? I'm like, oh, here we go.
I know.
And I spend 5 or 10 minutes of my life explaining it to them. They go, oh, well, well, I want to vote yes. I'm like, yeah, well, you got to have that conversation 400,000 times to win it, because there's millions of dark money dollars, which is so ironic, coming from out of state trying to convince us not to. And it's all about Murkowski and then the down ticket stuff. And anyways, it's not worth spending time. You asked for a thumbnail sketch. So here's for the regular audience that wasn't online. The Senate is more likely to not be under control of Republicans this time, with a more conservative, body controlling it. It's the House has been under Democrat control for 4 years because of Republicans that went and joined the Democrats and gave them power. But you have 3 of what I call the old guard left: Stedman, Stevens, and Bishop, who have, Stevens and Stedman have joined, but Bishop will go where Stedman goes on this one. They've joined the Democrats in the past and also had that bipartisan group. And they've been punished in the past by kind of being shunned off to the side. But if you go back with 8 Democrats, that's 3 plus 8, that's 11. You control the body, and I could see them doing that, and then shoving the rest of the Republicans off the side. And some Republicans, I could imagine some names, you might be able to think of them yourself, who would probably join them too, because they don't want to get left in the cold, and join the Democrats. And now you have the exact flop of what's happened the last 4 years, but the House controlled by Republicans and then a bipartisan one in the Senate. But those races for the thumbnail sketch you asked for there's the key ones. You got Matherly versus Kawasaki. If Matherly was to win, that's a minus for the Democrats. That's good for us, but we'll see how that one goes. You got Giesel and Holland. If Holland doesn't come back and it's Giesel, we already know what she is and who she is and how she acts and what she's done. So that would just be devastating, right, for having a conservative coalition in charge of the Senate. You've got Mia Costello with Matt Clayman, a far leftist who's ironically been lying like crazy about Costello. Gee, I don't know how that goes. Mia's in a fight down there in that district because of redistricting. But if she goes away and you get Matt Clayman, there's another Democrat in the far left one. Good luck. You probably lost the Senate. You got Merrick versus McCarty. Merrick says she'll stay with the Republicans. We'll see. I'm going to trust but verify on this one, Mike, because she's already, shown she'll join the Democrats in a heartbeat to get power. So that's a touchy one, because if it's Merrick and not McCarty, I don't really know what's going to happen there, right? How's that going to go? You got my race and Matsu. We talked about that offline, because he's going to most likely join a binding caucus because he won't answer the question, which is the answer, right? Which means you go along with the old guard, you give your vote away, and that's what it is. And he can say he would never do that, but then he doesn't understand how it works. If that's what he says, it's showing ignorance of the process and doesn't understand it, because he's been asked things like, what about red flag law? What about repealing? He said this the other day in Valdez. Somebody told me, he's like, somebody asked him, well, what about repealing ranked choice voting? He said, well, the legislature can't do that. And I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me, showing a lack of understanding or trying to play to the crowd.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, the legislature can repeal it. So this is why you don't replace me with the freshman, Mike, that doesn't understand these things. You let me go back and finish the job, because he's going to come in as a brand new guy without knowing what to do and having the experience or staff or anything else. And so that's my biggest pitch to people: is don't replace me right now. We're on the step. We're running. We're ready to go. We got everything down pat. We've got knowledge and experience and expertise. You don't replace your horse in the middle of a race right now with the freshman that's going to come in with nothing. But that's a key race too, right? Because if you lose me, well, and he joins the mining caucus, there goes the power balance in the Senate. So I think I've covered. Oh, Tuckerman down south is also another one, because Tuckerman would obviously stay with the conservative majority, and the other guy may not. So right there, like I said, that's hard, Mike, because you got all these different at play. And if you lose even one, certainly two of those races, then you have almost for sure lost the power balance of the Senate. You never know how organizing will shape out, but those are the kind of the mix and the pie, if you will, of what would possibly happen. And so we won't know until the results are in. And as you talked at the beginning, we won't know that either, because of the way Finamia has decided she's not going to announce the results for 2 weeks, the final ones. But some of the races that have less candidates will probably have an answer. Or you get that, you say the race I'm in, there's only two of us. If one of us was so far ahead that absentees won't matter, you kind of know who the winner is. So we're going to get some indication on some races, but some it's going to take a while. So we may not know the final shakeout of things until, like you said, really close to Thanksgiving, and then we'll know, and we'll have a pretty good idea going into it how the bodies are going to organize. Ultimately, it can be a chocolate mess. You've seen that, but just knowing who the players are and how tight the Senate is at kind of a 10-10 split, it's going to be really interesting to watch. Right. And so there you go.
Well, somebody said, if these three have got so much power, what's the point of the rest of the folks? But see, that's the problem, is that when you have this balance in there, and those three people know how to play the game. They've been there for 20 years, 25, 15, 25 years. They know how to play that game, and so they play the one side against the other. So when it's so evenly split, that's why it matters.
That's the issue, Mike. And it's not that they're that powerful. It's that we're that close in numbers. If we had 13 or 14 solid Republicans, or let's say we had 14 solid Republicans or 14 Republicans, right? Well, those three all of a sudden didn't become very powerful, because if we had 11 that would agree to join together and we're solid together, conservative, those three don't hold any power because we don't need them. The problem we have right now is if you only had 8, right, which we probably only have about 8-ish really more conservative Republicans willing to stick together, and those three are part of the 11 total Republicans or 12 or whatever it is, well, all of a sudden they have inordinate power, because you could have 12 Republicans, right? And if those are 3 of them, well, if 9 of you are solid and those 3 aren't, they can take away your majority, because you have to organize and you have to have 11 to control the body, just like the House has to have 21 to control the body.
Right.
So they have power because there's 3 of them, and we don't have 14 Republicans right now. We've only got, there's 8. Let's do the math here. What am I doing? There's 7 Democrats right now. So, and you're 13 Republicans, but 3 of those are, they've gone the other way. So
right. Exactly.
You're at a 10-10 split, roughly ballpark. And so that's where the power, that one person can hold that power, because they can swing it either direction. So there you go. That's
Mike Showers, our guest candidate for Senate District O. Got about 4.5 minutes here, 5 minutes. So I give you the floor, give you a chance. I'll give you a 1 or 2 minute warning when we need to close up. But anything we didn't hit, or something that you wanted to hit on, what does the first days of session look like for you, et cetera, et cetera? What do you want?
Well, I think the biggest thing, Mike, is just, right at this point, just getting people out to vote. If you haven't voted, please go vote. Drag a family member or friend with you. Get involved this way. And I don't mean the election process is almost over, but really just go vote. That's the biggest thing. Please, we need to have turnout. It'd be nice to see for once half the people in the state actually vote that are eligible to. So go vote if you haven't. Don't say your vote doesn't matter, because we've had all these elections. Some of them decided by 1 vote. Often it's a few dozen votes. And so your vote actually does matter in these state races, because we're so small. So please go vote if you haven't. And that's number 1. Number 2, like I said, don't think that your vote doesn't matter in the broader sense, because some of these races are going to determine the direction of the state. Mike, if we lose the Senate, you don't repeal ranked choice voting. I'm not saying it lightly that this may be one of the most important elections in our lifetime, because if you don't repeal ranked choice voting, the moderates and the left will have won this state. You will never get it back. They will keep consolidating further and further to the left, because that's what it's designed to do. And if you haven't noticed, that's pretty much exactly what it's already doing. So we need to repeal ranked choice voting. If you don't send the right people back, folks, it's not going to be repealed. And you could say citizens initiative, they're expensive and hard to do. We've seen that. You got to have tons of money, and all that money comes from out of state, and that money is going to be coming on the left side of the spectrum, not the right side of the spectrum. So who we send back, going to vote, who we send back, making sure that this is we do it right this time is probably the most seminal election in our lifetimes, Mike, because ranked choice voting, constitutional convention, putting a balanced fiscal plan in place, those issues are first moving forward. And if we don't do that, they're going to turn this place into a national park because it will be controlled by leftist Democrats. That's where we're headed. Right. And, resource development is how we survive. We're dead in the water without that if we don't make ourselves open for business. So we really have to get conservatives, the RUNs, Republicans, undeclared and nonpartisans that are center and right. They really need to show up and vote, Mike. And if you haven't, like I said, if you haven't by tomorrow, night, and we lose, enough of these key races, then you don't repeal the things that matter, and you don't change it, and you don't put things in place for a stable tax environment, which means a stable business environment, which means we're open for business. And so you can see the domino effect, right? All these things. I mean, I've been reaching out to people outside the state as well, trying to get them to be involved in Alaska and helping us counter the money, like on the Constitutional Convention and other things.
Right.
Because you don't. To me, and I know there's a lot of issues, but the three things that were important in Constitutional Convention, right? It was the spending cap, changing it so it worked. It was locking the PFD away so we don't fight about it anymore, and we have a stable, political environment moving forward. And it was how we select our judges, because we have a Missouri plan in here, which we've discussed before, so I won't spend time. We don't have time, but 2-minute warning. I see it. Woo, I like how this works. It's kind of nice. Is that if you don't change how we select our judges off of that Missouri plan, which ironically Missouri even itself no longer uses that plan, then you have a left-leaning activist court, which has done that to us for years, like overriding election law all by themselves.
Right.
So
exactly.
We have to change that. That's my opinion, and I think the easiest way to do that's in the Constitution. But I had a bill for it. It made progress, and if I do go back, we'll try that again too, because the judicial branch was very angry with me, which I figure means it probably was a good idea. So
that's pretty much it. All right. Just over a minute here. Final thoughts, websites, elevator pitch, go for it.
Well, like I said, Mike, already, you don't replace your racehorse in the middle of the race. I think we have the experience and expertise and all the issues to go forward. I think it would be a mistake to put the other guy in place right now, and that will become apparent if it happens. And so be it. It won't be my problem at that point, but it has been a privilege, always is, to serve, in my opinion. Michelle and I consider that a privilege. Hopefully this people send us back. We'll keep serving. If not, we'll do the next thing. But we still love your sport. And if you want to go with support, MikeShower.com, you can go in there and check and make sure you like what we're doing. So MikeShower.com, you can find us at Mike Shower for Senate on Facebook, etc. But Mike, we hope that the people will do the right thing tomorrow across the board, not just our race, but the whole state. It matters. It's a big deal. We love this place. This is where we want to stay with our kids and grandkids, and I want to make sure that it's a place they want to stay. So that's what matters, folks. You guys all know me well enough on this program. Not much else to say, but just go vote. That's the biggest thing at this point.
Mike Shower, candidate for Senate District O. Folks, thanks for coming in tomorrow. Brad Keithley, Chris Story. Election Day coverage continues. We will see you then. Have a great day and a great enjoy yourself. Be kind. Love one another. Live well. All right, Mike, final bite at the apple. Anything else? Anything? I think you may have shot the whole thing there, but any final thoughts?
Nah, I think we got everything out there. It's biggest thing, Mike, just get people out to vote, pick the right candidates, make sure you're, I should have said rank the red. That was important. I did kind of forget that one on it, but
that's okay.
I hope people will remember that. It's like, even if you don't like Palin, please put her second. If you don't like Begich, please put him second. Same thing with Pierce and Dunleavy. If Pierce is your guy and you don't like Dunleavy, but please put Dunleavy second. I mean, these races matter. Ranked choice voting is going to kill us on some of these because people are just, I could never vote for a Begich. All right, well, then you're basically voting for Peltola. So,
yeah, exactly.
Please rank the red or rank the top two if there's more than, two in the race. But don't rank any Democrats or you're going to end up splitting votes and giving it to a Democrat. So we'll see, Mike. It's going to be on us. The legislature is going to have to undo this mess. But that's only if we send the right people back. So I guess that's how all the dominoes line up, right? The chess pieces on the board. We don't send the right people. You don't change it. And you're stuck with this mess, and it's only going to get worse. So there you go.
There you go. All right, my friend. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on board. Good luck tomorrow. We got our fingers crossed.
We'll talk next week, and it'll be either tears or it'll be happiness or maybe both, depending on which way it goes. So
yeah, no, next Wednesday we'll have you back on your regular time, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Sounds good, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks so much, folks. We're out of time. We will see you tomorrow. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.